All right, welcome to this version of the memory team weekly meeting. There's a bunch of not verbalized topics there. I'm assuming this one's going to be quick since you all spent some time today on the 2 GB sync meeting, but it's the end of the milestone, so I wanted to run through the issues to see if there was anything that was going to carry over. Nicola, you are up first.
I'm not sure, that this is just a small change. There is open discussion with Camille and Engvan, but I will not work on this. I will pause it this week. So I hope it will get next week on the release, but maybe it will spill over. It's really a small change, but I don't know.
Okay, does this, did you say it'll get in before the 22nd? Or do we just need to carry it over to 13.7?
Sorry, what was the question?
Do we need to carry this one over to 13.7, or do you think it'll be done and shipped by the 22nd?
I think it's possible to be shipped, but it's not that important. Maybe it can still
keep it in for now. And then you have the documentation issue up next.
Yeah, this just waits to be merged. Like everything is done and it's approved. Like technical writer just need to merge it. I applied his all suggestions, so I'm just waiting for Axel to merge it. So
okay.
it should.
Right. Matthias, you have the next 4.
Yeah, so conditional gets, so client-side caching is being rolled out as we speak. It's on Canary now. I tested it on staging as well and on Canary, and it seems to work fine. From what I've seen, I still need to pull CDN logs, but I'm going to wait with that until it's fully rolled out to the entire production fleet. But it looks good. If the numbers in Thanos for Canary are to be trusted, it looks like we'll be at about a 50% cache hit rate, which is up from 8%, so that's great. So these are requests for there will be no payload being served to the client. So there's one smaller issue that we had to work on today. Unfortunately, I had to context switch there back and forth, which is that we had an elevated error rate for the image scaling, but it was not legit. It was because we kind of count successes incorrectly in Prometheus due to caching being introduced, because it was not counted as a success. So we're looking to, there's a small, I sent an MR already. We just need to merge that. So when that is live and error rate is back to normal, then I think we can probably consider this done. And then improve logging. There's some feedback, there's an MR. We have a solution. It's not pretty. And I got some feedback from a maintainer if there's a way to simplify it. I kind of agree that it would be nice to simplify it a bit more. I'm not sure if I have time this week to work on it though, but it's also, I don't think it should be it should not be a blocker for release, so it might slip into a 13.7. And it's also, it's kind of blocking the runbook rework as well, because it kind of, I wrote it to reference all these new log labels that we don't have yet. Yeah, so it might slip. And then create image scaling documentation that's in, sorry?
No, go ahead and finish.
Okay, so the image scaling documentation, there are 2 MRs open. I'm just waiting for feedback from the technical writer there. Yeah, I'm just waiting for feedback. So I'm pretty sure this will make 13.6.
Okay. On the improved logging, do you want to just carry that over so you're not distracted this week, or do you want to have the distraction in case you get bogged down by the
I would prefer that, because I would prefer that, because the first half of the day was already I had to join an incident call and stuff, because this already lost some time. I would prefer to move that if that's, it should be okay, because it's really yeah, it's a bit more than just cosmetic, because it really, it's tricky right now to see what is breaking. But it's not, I don't think it's should be a blocker.
Okay, thanks. Camille, you got the last 4.
Yeah, so docs.gitlab.com is kind of stuck. I'm waiting for the technical writer teams to help me out with that. Second one, I'm gonna still like finish. The third one is now being rewritten into not scalability, but rather runbooks, basically approach. These allow usage of the feature flags without definition. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to merge this one. I guess it's like the fourth one is like 50-50 at this moment.
Okay.
So I guess like I'm fully confident in the second one.
Mhm.
The first one, it's kind of like I'm blocked right now.
Yep.
The third and the fourth one, I guess they are 50-50
Okay.
at the moment.
Same question I asked Matthias. You want to keep them in this, or do you want to move them over to 13.7 so you have fewer distractions for this week?
I mean, like you can move docs.gitlab.com already. It's unlikely it's gonna be finished. As for the rest one, just give me like time tomorrow to figure out what to do with them.
Okay, sounds good. Is there anything else going on that's not on this board that we may have missed? Right.
I as usual have a plenty stuff with pages and like discussions and things like that. They are not really reflected, but I'm kind of communicated that I will be less available during this week.
Mhm. All right. That's it. So the recordings are going to the cloud. I pulled them down this morning. I haven't had a chance to upload them, but I will upload them in unfiltered. I posted both our sync week epic and the cache SQL calls into weekend review so that other engineers can read up on it and follow along. I see that someone outside of memory teams already commented on the sync week. So can you, all right, I'll find those, Camille. Make sure we're not duplicating uploads here.
Yeah, it's because like we started this meeting like twice.
Yeah.
And like it was like
yeah, I was filtering through. There were a couple
something
that
like
were
that.
like, yeah, I'll make sure the right one gets uploaded. And I was reading through the transcript. There was some pretty funny text in there. I'll share them internally so y'all can see what it's translating your words into. There was some comment about creating a dog in there somewhere, so I'm sure that's not what we talked about. But and then so there is an ongoing, switching topics. There's an ongoing effort to take a look at MR rates across enablement, because we are as a section lower than most other development teams, and it's basically they just want to know why. We've talked about it several times, and by we I mean me, Christopher, and Sean. And the request is to just give more information as to why we are different. So I think enablement's hovering around 8, and the goal for all sections is 10 to 13, I think, is the new range and new targets. So I'm doing some analysis based off the data and found a couple data points. I think the one that's going to be interesting is the one that I haven't approached yet. It's when we're context switching. So I've started gathering when we started working on big projects throughout the year, like when we switched to project import, when we switched to the sync week, when we switched to, you know, all the various big topics that we've done throughout the year. And I'm going to try to align them to, well, not try, I'm going to align them to the calendar and the graphs that we have to see if there's a natural lull or dip in our MR rate as we are coming up to speed on like image scaling, right? Because we had to learn Go, had to learn about the image scaling process, had to learn about Workhorse. So I have to imagine that when we had kickoffs for all of those, that there was just a natural dip in the MR rate. And I will figure out how to overlay those and summarize in the epic that I've linked there. So again, as I said many times, I'm not too concerned about our MR rate because we have reasons why we have a sine wave almost of our MR rate throughout the year. And basically, this is just going to document why we're different than feature teams. So, and if y'all have any suggestions on maybe areas that I can investigate or provide more documentation, please feel free to add comments to that epic. So I may have missed something.
I think the one thing that comes to mind from my perspective, something that I've seen in other groups, just that if the work is not broken down well enough ahead of time, and there's very little context as to why things are actually happening, a developer who picks it up will waste quite a bit of time trying to figure this out by themselves, which then in turn reduces the MR rate because MRs are bigger. So I don't know if that's an issue in memory, but that's maybe also something to, at least for me, to look into how I can help, if that's a thing.
It is a thing, and I tried to provide data with that by showing the number of issues that are authored by the team, and that's one of the graphs on the Sisense board that's within the Epic. It seems like there's a lot of issues written, but unless I compare it to like a true feature team to see like the comparison between product manager writing issues and the team writing issues, and I don't know, there's not a team by team comparison. And I was trying to look to see if there were natural spikes in when issues were created. Like once we kick off an initiative, are there a bunch of issues created by the team and then followed by MR rates? And there's nothing super conclusive there. But I still need to go back and figure out when did we start all of these major initiatives to see if there are natural spikes in issue creation and or comments. So still a little more research to be done.
Right. Is maybe one reason that just because we're such a we have a very technical domain that we're in, right, as being the memory team. So I wonder if part of this is because I think our epics are very well structured and described. So I feel like the direction and the general like where we want to be is always, I always thought it was very well described, but then often like the how to get there, like the stuff that actually then goes into issues that we track across the board is often so super technical that sometimes I think it's easier if the developers just create that, and then we have like probably different ways as developers to like then go about how, you know, what goes in an issue and what doesn't. And usually we just know, you know, that's enough context for me to pick that up kind of. So like for me as a developer, I didn't feel like I didn't have enough context in issues. Apex, I always felt that was really decent. So, but yeah, and because if I compare this to a product team, you know, if you have like proper user stories, you know, like, you know, where you think about, you know, as a user, I should be able to do this and that, and then here's a way of how we like measure like if that was successful from like a delivery perspective. Like what we work on is it's just different, right? So like maybe that's why we don't always have that up front. Right?
Yeah, and that's probably the obvious statement to start with, right? What we work on is just different. We're not shipping features. The individual issues are not broken down. Like Fabian or Josh are not a month ahead describing what features we are going to ship to the end user. And even then yet. And it might be difficult, you know, to Matthias's point, some of these things are so very technical that it may be difficult to get that far ahead. And also a lot of the things we do don't require feature flags either, right? Features as they're being shipped, you're going to have the feature flag MR to set up and tear down along with the feature. So every user story in theory for a feature team could have 3 MRs. So again, we're just different. I need to summarize it all, and before I ship it up to Christopher and Chun, I will, when I have that summary done, I'll ping everybody to make sure that we're all in agreement and we're I accurately represented the team on this.
I think one other comment. So I'm super happy to help with that as well. Maybe if we can demonstrate that, you know, that MR rate is not lower because we are not doing many of the best practices that we should, right? That's also maybe important. But as far as I understand it, MR rate is exactly that, right? It's velocity, right? It's like how many things do you do? It does not actually account for do you do the right things, right? Which is much more important. And so I think it's, you know, I think as long as there's confidence that the team is working on the right areas and doing the most important things, that's also, I think, always important context to present, right? And then when you say, well, this is the nature of the work, right? That may be the case. But also, in my experience with this discussion, it helps if we can say some of this is different, so it may look different, but we're still doing these things, to ensure that we are performing as fast as we can on this, right? And I think, yeah, I'm happy to help if I can do anything.
Yeah, and this came with a caveat, right? That there was no question that the teams are doing the right thing and we're highly productive. It's just Christopher and Chun really just want to know why. So how they can communicate up that if not the section, like if not enablement's different, how are the teams different? Because like distribution, they crank out MRs. They have no problem meeting the goal rates, right? And
but they have MRs
advocated,
like bump, version of dependency, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, and I've always advocated that the memory team and the database teams were just different, right? We're going to have different rates. We're going to fluctuate, and they just wanted to have one last communication. Well, I don't think it's going to be one last. I think it's going to be a regular communication that we just need to inform them on. So that's all. So again, if you have any comments or ideas, feel free to comment on the Epic, and I will continue to work on it this week. Actually, they want it by the end of the milestone, so we have plenty of time, but I jumped on it as soon as they got it on Thursday, I believe. So. Right. That's it for me, and we are at the end of the agenda. Any other topics anybody wants to cover today? Nope. All right. Happy Monday. Good seeing everybody.
Happy Monday.